You like looking at my palm while I one take this? Yes, that's right. I'm at home again because, unfortunately, my foot, I wasn't treating it the way I was supposed to, and it's kind of taken a step backwards, pun intended, when it comes to my healing. So I'm in a cast, which has affected my ability to go to work, make money, all that fun stuff, including make videos because I've been tired. Because I've also started working out. You can see my neck's getting a little bit thinner, and that will get more and more pronounced as we go along. Question you're probably asking yourself is, wait, wasn't he going to be talking about a McPew-Pew? Yes, I am, but unfortunately the algorithm on YouTube thinks anything that has a McPew-Pew in it is automatically demonetizable, so they just do that, and in order to combat that, I talk for about a minute. If you want to see more direct humor and cussing and all that fun stuff, go over to TikTok where I am. I don't know I'm pointing that way. It's outside. Go that way, about a block, turn left, fly directly into the sun, and you'll find me. Yeah, let's get into it. I helped out my buddy down at Liberty Arms in Harrisonburg, Virginia. Google them. Good people, great inventory, good prices, all that good stuff. Great, good, great. And, of course, I picked something up because I sold one of my guns to buy a Navigator, and I needed another gun, so I got another gun. This is a Smith & Wesson SD9 VE. Yes, this is a cheap polymer stainless, striker-fired, Glock-ish gun. It's basically a Glock 19 clone. You can just tell in terms of size and dimensions, it's basically a Glock 19. Although I will be honest, I think I'd like the lines better on this, but it has a little bit of a stigma, and we'll be talking about that later. So, you're probably wondering, why did he buy something that isn't normally considered a high-end gun? Because if you know me on this channel, you know I like to try stuff, and this one was a used piece. And I got it for a fair price, and I'm going to be testing it out. But I got something else with it. But first, we're going to take a look at the firearm. Again, it's very much like a Glock, serial number on the bottom. Hey, look, there's a serial number. What do you think you guys can do with the serial number? Why do you guys keep leaving me a comment that, oh, your serial number is showing? Why would you show your serial number? I would never trust you with a gun because you showed a serial number. Unless you actually have an FFL, and your FFL in your bound book has this gun in it, and then you can sell it to me, there's literally nothing you can do with this serial number. Even if you reported it stolen, you can't, because I have a 4473 saying that I'm the owner. So, yeah, you can just put that stuff to bed, okay? As I've showed a couple times, she is clear. Just like a Glock, stainless upper, polymer lower, no external safeties on either side. It is not ambidextrous. It has one big flat slide lock slide release. This is much longer than a standard Glock. It does have a pick rail. It's not a Glock accessory rail, so you have a little bit more freedom in what you want to put on it. Like a lot of polymer guns nowadays, they're adding the finger memory notches here. This is to keep your finger off the trigger. That's what you're supposed to do. If I'm holding a gun and it looks like I don't have a finger, I'm doing it properly. If you're doing this or you're doing that, you're doing something wrong. Anyway, single action only, which means you pull the trigger, gun no go boom no more, unless you rack the slide or you have a magazine with ammunition in it. Chambered in 9x19, and this particular one came with 4. Yes, that's one of the reasons I bought it. 4 16 round magazines, and they actually make extended mags because there are PCCs out there that use these mags. So, what else did I get with this? I got a Kydex holster, which was pretty nice. And, well, actually, I'm going to show you after we do the teardown. Let's talk about the trigger pull real quick. Trigger pull is, honestly, it's about Glock. It's a little bit better. The trigger safety is a little bit different in that it's just the entire bottom half of the trigger. You can see that right there. If you try to do it from up there, it doesn't work. Down here, you can pull through and pull the trigger. It's probably a 7.5 pound trigger. Just guessing. I just guess with all this stuff, but you shoot enough guns, you can usually guesstimate pretty accurately. And I know it looks like I'm pointing it at myself. You can see it's nowhere near pointing at me, so don't leave me any stupid comments. It does have stippling and pyramiding and some other different textures on this thing. If I decide to keep this gun, that is going to change. My guy at Liberty Arms will do a stipple job for me. I'll have him actually thin it out. I don't like these little cuts which go around the trigger guard, or not the trigger guard, but the mag release area. I'm going to have them flatten those if I decide to keep it, and then I'll just have them do a nice basket weave on the frame. I think that would actually change this gun up quite a bit. Has a standard dovetailed 3-dot sight arrangement. It's pretty easy to pick up, and being a striker fired, you can run the sights all the way to the back of the slide, so it does give you pretty good acquisition. Does have a little bit of a port there, so you can see if there's a round in it. It's a little more difficult when you have a stainless round, but it is still better than nothing because there's no other indicators on the gun. External extractor with a pin through the top. Glocks use a bushing that goes in here with a plunger that goes in the back and is held in place. So that's another difference. But overall feel, I mean, if you blindfolded me and the Glock and the Smith had the same grip stippling on it, you probably wouldn't be able to tell. Unless you were a freaking snob. Let's go ahead and take it apart. Before we do that, obviously, safety first. And somebody actually left a goddamn comment again about safety. Helena Hutchins. That's all I got to say. Doesn't matter who you think you are telling me that it's not important, we don't need to see it. You know what? I'm going to cuss here. Fuck you. Safety's important. Dumbass. But once you've made sure it's clear, this is a striker fired one that does require the trigger be pulled. That's why you double check. Also, that's a brick wall, so I'm safe if there happened to have been a round in here and I did something psychotic like try to take the mag or take the slide off with a loaded mag in it. So, just like a Glock, you slip a lot when you do that. Nope. And then you pull your trigger. You can see the slide comes loose and you can just pull it off. Inside, very much Glock. You can see this is a couple of pins on here. So you have one for your locking block here. And then you have for holding in the fire control group. Very standard stuff. Slightly different in terms of the spring setup, but not enough to warrant its own video. Once you've done that, flip it over. Take out your guide rod. It is captive, single spring. I'm wondering if they make a better setup like the Glocks use with like a double nested spring. It would probably smoothen up the recoil a little bit. Although I haven't shot this gun, so I don't know. Barrel. This frame and slide is also cut for 40, so it's a little bit thicker and it's pretty nice, pretty well made. Inside you have obviously your drop safety, your firing pin tube or your striker tube, your rear plate for holding everything on, and yeah, like I said, since these are dovetailed in, they're not screwed in like Glocks are. Overall fit and finish is pretty good. I know those dots are for date coding or something to do with the manufacturing, and they did a couple of lightning cuts inside to keep the weight down. I do like this has rear and front slide serrations. The finish is wearing off on this particular one. I don't know if it was just a cleared stainless or whatever, so I might actually get this one Cerakoted. Again, if I keep it. I always say that on this channel because I sell a lot of my firearms. The frame feels, I mean, like I said, if this was just stippled the same as a Glock, you would think it was a Glock frame. Pretty decently sized here for the metal that's required on the front of these guns because this is all that's holding that whole gun together. This breaks off on some Diamondbacks, you know, the crap one, the DB9. These are known to crack off, so got to make sure that there's enough room for a big one of those. Overall build is pretty good. So putting it back together is exactly the opposite. You just take your barrel, put it in the bottom, technically the top, bink. Take your guide rod. You will see the hole here is sized, so you got to make sure that you match it up. If it's there, great. If it isn't, then you flip it around. This particular one goes in this way. And then you push in your spring a little bit in order to get it to sit flat. So if it's not sitting flat, the gun is not going to go back together right, so you just push it. This one, it looks like it goes slightly down, but it's just an optical illusion. It is completely flat. You can flip over a guide rod that's captive or a slide with a captive guide rod, and it'll hold it together. Take your slide and your frame. You're back together. So, why did I buy such an inexpensive gun? As I said previously, I've never owned one, so I wanted to try it. But this is the main reason. This is the Caa Micro Roni. And there we go. This is a conversion kit to take a pistol and turn it into something that is more two-handed friendly. This does not modify the firearm in any way. It does not have a barrel inside of it. All this does is it allows you to grab the gun slightly different. This is a folding stock version. It is not a collapsing stock. If it was one collapsing stock, they could technically be considered an SBR adapter or some stupid crap. But this is a folding brace. This might actually work with the Glock, which is why I keep saying I might not keep this. I'm going to test with the Glock, but in order to put it in, this is your charging handle. You need to line it up so that when you insert your firearm, it lines up with the charging handle markings that it had, and it's cut for the slide on that, which is why I think this is all you need to change, the charging handle, in order to run a Glock. But we'll see. But once it's in there and secured, you just take your firearm, snap it into place. You'll see it sitting flush here, and then you just close the door. Close the door once the gun is all the way forward. Yep, okay. And make sure your latch is back. You have to forgive me. I've only done this a few times. But once you do that, you'll see a red dot here next to the charging handle. That shows you that it's locked and in a safe position. Once you've done that, you now have charging handle to operate your slide, as well as a place to hold it. These are pedals that allow you to hold at a angle that is pretty comfortable, and additionally, this being a Micro Roni, it does have a spot for a secondary mag. So you can run 2 mags. You can grip it down here if you want. It's got finger grooves down here, so you can grab it here. Or if you want to grab it up a little bit higher, you can grab it using the pedal up here. Otherwise, it does nothing to fundamentally change it. It does have a spot for a flashlight that can be put in it. This particular didn't have one. However, it does have a nice pick rail on the top. I threw a cheap-ass red dot on it because I just wanted to test it and see how it shoots to determine whether or not I'm going to keep it. But once you've done that, like I said, you got your charging handle. You just do that, and then you can just, yeah. So, yeah, that's the Micro Roni conversion on the Springfield Smith & Wesson Swatchable SD9 VE. So, if you'd like to get something like that, contact Liberty Arms. You can still get the CAA stuff without any sort of tax stamp or NFA agreement because it is not an SBR. I'm out of here. Thank you for your patience. I'll do another video later this week. I am working on a Glock for a customer, and we'll see if what I think is wrong with it is what's wrong with it. If it is, I'll make a video. Otherwise, until then, I will talk to you guys later. And yeah, I already said I'll talk to you later, so you get the thumb afterwards. Deal with it, Grandma.